live. It's Monday. It's 12:30 and it's live and linking. My name's Ashley Leeds. I'm the 15-minute guy, and I'm all about helping people get visibility, helping them build their personal brands and all that sort of good stuff. Now, when we start getting into it, we start thinking about all the other things that we could do, and maybe start thinking about behavioral science. That's a little bit out of my league, but I know somebody that knows a little bit about this. I think they've even written a book. So my guest this week is Si Elliott. How the devil are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you, and delighted to be joining you today.
Oh, I'm delighted that you are joining me. Now, hang on a minute. You're based in Notts, but
I'm in Copenhagen today,
Scandinavia.
yes.
Is that Scandinavia?
It is, yes, over in Denmark. So I flew out last night, so I can make sure I was definitely here on time, because sometimes you can't rely on the airlines to get you here exactly on time.
Rely on airlines?
Not always, and the 3-hour delay last night would prove my point.
Oh,
but,
that would have been
wanted to be here and make sure that I was ready and awake for this one as well, because I know the energy you bring to it. So I'm going to try.
Oh, bless you.
I'm going to try and keep pace with you.
Try and match me. Nobody can match me. You want to try living with me, my poor wife. Anyway, Si, anybody that doesn't know who you are, tell us a little bit about you, please. Where you're from, what you do.
Okay, very short background then. I'm Si Elliott, based in Nottingham, in the middle of the UK, for those from outside of the UK. And I work in a digital marketing agency called Diversity. Our expertise is we're a customer experience agency, so we don't specialize in any one tranche individually. We look across the piece, and our job is delivering excellent customer experiences to clients. We started life 26 years ago as a brand agency, so way before digital, brand and marketing agency. And of course, digital is the mainstay of what we do, but not everything. So I'm doing an event next week in Barcelona with a client. So we still do lots of stuff in person. We're going to talk a lot about that today as well. And I launched 3 years ago a consultancy called Fabricx, specializing in behavioral science and how we apply that to communications, relationship building, and general customer experience as well. And I also guest lecture at several universities as well. So quite a broad range of experience. And as I say, my grounding came from marketing strategy, and now specializing in customer experience, but really diving into how behavioral science starts to unlock things as well, which I think is a fascinating space for anybody, even if you're not in the marketing field, just anybody to understand why we do what we do.
No, it is fascinating. And we think a brand is a logo. Okay, so I don't know, we're Steve Jobs, we get a little apple and we draw a little chunk out of it and use that little chunk as the stalk, and that's it, that's the brand. But it ain't that, is it? It's more. So where are some of us going wrong?
Well, I think it's not where we're going wrong. That is one element of a brand, but the reality as a brand is the meaning people will attach to your business, your service, your offering. And when I look at it and look at customer experience, it's that perception, feelings that someone has based on their interactions, their experiences with either you, your brand, your business. So we talk a lot about personal branding. I'm sure we're going to talk about that today. And that's a little bit what I'm on here to drill you about, actually. So I'm going to try and turn the tables on you at some point. But when we think about personal branding, when we think about personal branding, it's very much, what would someone say about Ashley when he leaves the room? Mm-hmm. And that's the brand that you leave behind. And we often think, well, I own a brand, and you've got your color scheme, you've got your logo, you've got your strapline, but actually it's what meaning was it that people have taken away, and what do they think about you? And I love the bit about how someone else would describe you to the next person. So they've been to one of your sessions. How are they going to describe you? That's actually the essence of your brand.
Okay. And that was a great show. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm a little bit scared now. I'm just going to give Daniel a shout. Hi, Daniel. Thanks for joining us today, all the way from Maryland, USA. So I don't know how many time zones we're spanning today. So this is brilliant. It's worldwide. We're doing this, and absolutely superb. Yeah, and I've heard that said a lot of time. You know, what do people say when you're not in a room? Okay, so yeah, go on, grill, whatever. Go on, because this is going to help everybody that's listening. Okay, and I'm an open book. I'm more than happy for you to share, have a go, ask me questions, whatever.
Well, I mean, for me, so I've worked in diversity, the creative digital marketing agency. I've got Fabricx as a brand as well, and then I've got this guy in the middle that you're talking to today, Si Elliott, who's just written a book, and
Whoa! Just written a book. What's all this
certainly
about?
Have. Would you like a copy?
What, you're going to give me a copy of your book? That would be delightful. Yes, please.
Well, here
Thank you. Yeah, superb. Oh, look at that. Customer experience thinking. That's pretty darn good, mate. Thank you. Thank you. It's really, oh, and you've signed it as well. Thank you very much.
It's all about personalization.
Yeah. So what's this book about? Don't just say because what it says, but why did you read? Because this is a big, thick book. And look, just in case I hadn't it before, I've been reading that on page 152, and I can endorse it. It's a really good book.
Well, I've been in the marketing industry for more than 2 decades now. I try not to talk about that too much, but one of the things I've seen over time as well is that we're starting to be a little bit disconnected between brand and consumer. So when we think of some of the brands that you really relate well to, you've got a real feeling of proximity. And over time, sometimes you just sit and wonder, well, what am I all about? What am I here for? What am I passionate about? I'm very much driven to get people to think about human connection and relationships in an increasingly digital world. And I work in a very, very digital world. So over time and in my working career, I created a set of 8 principles for customer experience, kind of foundational principles that we can follow, and it starts to help us shape and think how we design out our customer experience. And I use the word principles because I'm not the most linear, and I didn't want rules or something strict like that. I wanted something that it's got a bit of wiggle room so we can play with this a bit. And then rewind about 8 years ago, and I stumbled into someone chatted to me about behavioural science. I was like, oh, that's interesting. What's that all about? And as I went further down the behavioural science rabbit hole, I was like, it's fascinating because it explains a lot of the illogical decisions I make, but also in everything I'm doing at work, how am I applying this? And am I actually applying it in the right way? And so then created 8 categories of behavioural bias and found 34 of the most common ones that we were using all the time, and just put them in. So again, an easy framework for someone to follow. And what's my drive is to try and just pass on the education, things I've learned, be that part of, I've got 2 daughters, 11 and 14. I'm observing how they're operating the world around digital. Some good, some not so good. And part of that, you start to think about, well, what's my part in human evolution? How am I moving things forward? And am I doing it in a positive way? And some of the things that digital and the marketing industry maybe have done might not be for the best for the end customer. We always talk about working with the customer with their best intentions in mind. So that's me making sure you can make the best decision for you, not the most profitable one for me. I know the commercials will follow, but it's not the most profitable one for me. So been working on this. We create these frameworks. We've been operating for clients. And then I just worked on the principle. I get so excited by this. And it was a light bulb moment for me when I read Thinking Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman, started reading, Alchemy from Rory Sutherland. All of a sudden I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I wanted to do my little bit to pass that message on as well. So that's why the book was created. But then it brings us into this amazing world of, I've had the luxury of hiding behind corporate brands for a while, our agency brands. And all of a sudden, it says Si Elliot on the front of it. So all of a sudden it's like, well, actually, I need to maybe put myself forward a bit so people know who the author is and why he's written it, what's he. And that's what we're chatting about today. And that's why I'm going to be grilling you later on today in terms of how to improve that element as well, about thinking in personal brand terms.
Yeah, and it was one of the things that I actually teach when I'm teaching people to do LinkedIn is to be themselves. because so many people think that they've got to come on because LinkedIn is all about, it's a business network. We need to be corporate and all that sort of like it. No, people buy from people who they know, who they like, and who they trust. And some of the biases that you talk about in the book, it's like, yeah, that's a blinking good point. And those are the things that we need to be doing more of, rather than hiding behind a logo, just writing text, not doing videos, not showing photos. And so what are your thoughts on that?
I think you're absolutely right, and it's one I'll be totally open, it's one I've battled with. I'm quite comfortable delivering lectures at university, quite comfortable going and presenting my company, but then my own profile on social was a much more complex place to be. It was easier to, I'm not saying it was easy to write a book. Planning fallacy came, and I thought I'd have this written within a year, and it took 3 years.
Wow.
And I could change this every week because something new comes up, or a new way of explaining something comes up. What I've tried to do as well, because I was really conscious that, and I work with loads of great academics, none of these sit in this category, but a lot of the academic textbooks around behavioral science, things like that, can be quite heavy for a newbie. And I want to say, look, how do I make this super accessible so that people can follow it really easily and understand it? And then behind that, as I say, comes through, then you have to then start bringing out this author brand and talking to that. But yeah, really what I was trying to do with the book is to try and just open this subject matter up to as many people as is humanly possible. And within that, then you have to think about your profile and how you raise that profile. And I think you cross a really interesting point, which is that of the easiest thing to be is yourself, because no one else is you. The hardest thing to be is yourself, because we are social animals. So the reason that you and I exist on this planet now is because our ancestors, they all gathered into tribes, and that increased their likelihood of staying alive. So social acceptance is so deeply ingrained in us that to pop ourselves up, be a bit different, or maybe just step out from the group for that short while, it feels such a huge risk. And when we talk about behavioral science, most of the drivers are so Neanderthalic. They're so deeply rooted in our prehistoric brains that we can logic it, and I can logic my way through it. But the reality is there's still that little drawback because we're social animals. So that piece of advice of be yourself is not only the easiest, but also the hardest to follow.
Yeah, interesting. I'm just thinking of some of the clients that I've worked with. I'm not going to name anybody, so you're perfectly safe. But yeah, the first session, they're like absolutely petrified, and it's over the term of the training, they get there, they see it, but that's really difficult, isn't it?
It's super difficult, and I think that's where sometimes as well you need someone else. So I've worked with a publicist on the book, and I work in marketing. Surely I can do it myself.
Yeah,
because they've pushed me in ways that I wouldn't have done, and they've made me do certain things that wouldn't have sprung to mind. And naturally, you get this thing called modesty as well, which is a beautiful thing, but it sometimes can be challenging as well. So the idea of getting someone from the outside looking in and just giving me that bit of guidance, and I'd like to think of someone in your role a little bit like an accountability coach. I've got to check in with Ashley next week. Have I done it? No. I better get it done then. And I think that's a really important factor to consider is how do you hold it? Because if it's the thing you feel a bit uncomfortable about, I can busy myself with that spreadsheet over there. I can busy myself with that. So actually having that accountability, but also even within that, finding the person like yourself, you're clearly passionate about this. Now, I'm launching a new brand and I wanted to talk about it today. I'm going to be the 14-minute guy. So I'm launching a new brand and I'm going to try and take you on. People won't come to me because they won't feel the level of passion and drive that you have towards it. Yet they'll be like, so is that nosy guy that really just wonders why people do what they do in a supermarket, or why they're not buying that, or why are they not putting money into pensions, or why are they buying cheap tires when they're more expensive in the long run. So, and that's the thing. You've got your very distinct, and your brand should be about you, and it should be about what your passion point is. because that comes through. So yeah, the 14-minute guy probably be a flash in the pan, and he'll be gone in a couple of weeks' time. But the 15-minute guy will still be here.
I love that. The 14-minute guy. I wonder. It doesn't have the same ring though, does it?
Not quite, but everybody's looking for efficiency nowadays. So that's what
that's true.
It's just optimization.
yeah, absolutely. Well, do it then into seconds and however many seconds that is, and do that. Yeah, no, fantastic. So did you say you were going to grill me?
Well, yeah, because as part of this, yes, I can come on and tell you a little bit about behavioral science, and that's great. And I put a lot of content out there, or I'll reframe it. I'm starting to put a lot of content out there. But part of it is knowing what to put out, knowing that regularity, that cadence. And a good friend of mine is a brand consultant, runs a very successful independent brand consultancy. He uses a lot of himself on LinkedIn. And when we caught up probably 9 months ago, we were talking about selfies and things like that. And I said, it's just doesn't feel like me. And he said, well, it's not me either. I'm like, but you do it all the time. He's like, yes, because it works. And that bit of bring your personality to the front of the content was something that it's been a challenge. It's without doubt, it's been a challenge. And that's why I follow all your content, listen to these, because I'm like, how do I push myself that little bit more? Because if we're just putting content out there, and I've got a reasonable cadence of content, but what's it delivering as well?
Yeah, that's the thing. You've got to you've got to want people to get involved with your content. So then that perpetuates it. It's all very well sort of like say, look, your book, right? Hit the #1 bestseller on Amazon in the first week. All right. That's because you put a bit of effort into it and got some things working and stuff like that. And that's what we've got to do with our normal content on LinkedIn. And that's why selfies work, because we then see that they're just like us. And like you say, with all this behavioral science, they're like, oh yeah, he's got 2 eyes, he's got a nose, he's got grey hair like me. I was chatting to someone earlier this morning, and his beard is showing grey like mine. I trimmed mine really short so you can't see.
Nice. Yeah.
But he's got some grey coming through on his beard, but on his LinkedIn photo, there's no grey at all. And I like, that's incongruent.
Yeah.
And so we sort of like say, oh, it's just normal like me. And and you see women taking photos and they've just come out of the gym and they don't have makeup on. That's real life. Yeah. And we're gonna endear more to that person than the one that gets spends an hour making themselves look amazing. No disrespect to women looking amazing, but real life, we don't always have time to put on our best shirt, our best tie, get the hair done and all that sort of stuff, do we?
Imperfection makes us much more endearing. So
yeah.
The pratfall effect talks about that. If someone is perfectly polished, again, let's think about it. We're social animals. We know you're carrying around all of Ashley's imperfections that you've got in the back of your head that you're like, oh yeah, the things that you worry about. If you meet someone that's got life together, they've got a sports car, they've got a six-pack, they've sold 88 businesses for 100 times EBITDA, all of these things, you find them probably harder to have within your network. You find that I can't jar with this person. If that person then admits to you, I've just been through a bad divorce because I gave so much to the business, and actually the reason I got this car is because it's an emotional crutch, because it makes me feel good about some of the failings, and I can afford to buy that because I put everything into the business. All of a sudden, you're nodding and smiling because you get along with them. It's the same. And I think, if anything, AI, the one thing it's going to give us is the fact that we have to put imperfections in things and embrace them so that we know it's not fake.
Yeah.
It would be easy enough for me now to take enough of your recorded content, enough of your video content, and basically recreate you. And that could deliver perfect speeches, but it wouldn't deliver the things. Maybe when you're going up on stage, you slightly trip on the way up. People enjoy that. It makes us feel a little bit more endeared to you. And that pratfall effect is something that don't be too polished, is what I'd say, But it's interesting, even in your advice there, I'm like thinking, okay, I can apply my knowledge to it. Why am I not doing some of these things? And
Yeah, and I think that's the bottom line, isn't it? It's sort of like, why aren't I doing this? I know I should be doing it, and there's always that fear. So I haven't read the whole book yet. Like I said, page 152. Do we go into there, how we can overcome those biases?
So with every bias, so the book's split in two halves. First half is about these foundational customer experience principles. I think they're really useful for anybody to apply in what they're doing business-wise. Whether you work in an established business or you're going to start something new, it just gives you a nice framework to operate around. I wouldn't say within, around. With the behavioral bias, we go through each one of them, talk about where they come from. So I touch on the scientific grounding, all the detail at the back of the book. So if you want to go dig deep and read through academic papers, scientific research, go for it. And I read them. There's some really interesting stuff in there. I don't expect everybody to get as geeky as I do about this stuff. So on each chapter, I'll give an overview of it, try and explain it in layman's terms, so hopefully don't lose people, give a branded example, and then at the end of each bit, I go, a thought for you. And it's just a throwaway, why don't you think about next time you're doing this, why are you doing that, or how does this work? So within it, there's answers, but also there's a little bit about us finding our own answers. But I've tried to simplify this so it's super accessible. I've tried to give examples to someone, and I've avoided using niche examples and tried to use big brand examples because people can. I know Apple, yeah. I know Zappos, I know these companies, so I can relate to them. But within it, I think I'm hoping that people will be able to go, oh, I see how that operates for me, or I can see that in my context. So here's how I can apply it. And nothing's perfect. The whole thing about this is go and experiment. This is the beauty of it. You'll get some stuff wrong. You'll get some stuff right, but you'll start to build up such a richer understanding. And it all comes back to the grounding and the start point of, we've started to get in a world where it's all about, what do I get? What do I get? What do I get? I get this for free. I get that for free. I want this now. I want that now. I just want to reframe things to, how are you serving others? What are you putting out there that serves other people? Because then, yes, you'll do well out of it, but the start point bit has to be how we're serving. So we have ethical checks when we look at using behavioral science, because some technologies have used it maybe in a slightly negative way, dark patterns in design, subscriptions that it's impossible to get out of, all of those things. And for me, that goes against the grain, that sludge, it stops you from doing stuff. Nudges help you make the right decisions. You're making 35,000 decisions a day. If you're awake for 17 hours, that's one every couple of seconds. The subconscious brain is just processing all the time. So anything we can reduce cognitive load and make it easier is better. So that's a great start point, is how do I just make it easier, and how do I serve that person, make their life easier in terms of making this decision? Even if the decision is not optimal for me, if it's optimal for them, it will come back around. Loyalty builds through that.
Yeah, no, that's great point. And one of the things that I actually say when I'm training people is making your banner, the cover photo at the back of your LinkedIn profile when you get to the top, is actually really explaining it well. The sort of thing that your 11-year-old daughter would understand, not something that I would understand. So, for example, if I was going to work for L'Oreal, the marketing director probably says you've got to have in your banner, because you're worth it. Right. Your daughter isn't going to know that I sell shampoo. So I need to be putting something in my banner that says something along the lines of, is your hair really horrible and dry? Buy our shampoo. It makes you look like Madonna, or something like that, and that's, how do we get that over when we're trying to show our brand?
Feature and benefits, isn't it? And start with the customer in mind. What problem are you fixing for them? What are you doing for them? How are you serving their life? How are you improving, elevating their life? What is that? Make sure they know that first. And then you can go through all the features, how you deliver it, how you're the best at it. But the start point is, if I don't know what you do, and especially in a digital sphere where I'm scrolling at such pace, if I don't know what you do, I'm on to the next thing. Unless you've got a guitar, you're dressed in yellow, and you're jumping around a bit, and then I'm going to stop and look and say, what does this guy do?
It works. It absolutely works. Si, I could chat to you all day. Unfortunately, this is only a half an hour long show, and I still want to roast your post.
Please do.
Are you up for a roasting?
Oh, absolutely. That's what I'm here for.
All right. Okay. So let's just cue up the music.
Roast my post, roast my post. Give me the comment ghost. Roast my post, roast my post. We're gonna roast my.
So this is the part of the show where I look at one of your posts and just roast you. And so you've got a question for me.
Well, actually, it wasn't roast my post. We're rebranding it. It's roast my posts.
Oh,
Cool.
you want me to do all of them?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh dear.
We're here for the day.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
so it was. I know the content I'm pointing out is interesting and relevant because when I talk to people about it is in my line of work, and I know the book's evidencing that, but engagement's not strong. And then I'm posing the question, and if your first exam question is, does engagement even matter? Is it just put it out there because people are viewing it and therefore that's doing a job? Or do I need to worry about engagement? And if the answer is yes, what do I do?
Okay, great question. Yeah, your posts look great. I am is that your studio at
It is.
home? I am jealous. Yeah, that looks very posy. Okay. Yeah, so that's a great question because yes, engagement is important because the thing we've got to remember. Okay, let's remove that a second and we're going to look at your post in a second. LinkedIn wants people to stay on the platform. Okay. If they stay on the platform, they can sell more revenue for advertising. Okay. How do we get people to stay on the platform? Give them good content. Let's make it engaging so they stay there a little bit longer. And so if you create a bit of content, okay, and I stop and read it and I like it and I put some engagement on it, then LinkedIn goes, oh, Ashley likes this. I'll send him more of the same, but let's share a little bit more of Simon. All right. So they're not pushing out your post to absolutely everybody. They're pushing it to a small cross section. Okay. And then a few more people come on and go, oh, Si, what about this? And they start engaging with you, start having a little chat with you. Then LinkedIn goes, oh, let's push it out a little bit more. That's engagement. All right. But you've got to help me with the engagement. Okay. So you've written a book, you're lecturing at university. And so what you're doing is you're putting out great content, but you're not actually doing anything to court the engagement.
Yeah.
All right. So understanding anxiety is good for business evolution. So you're telling us exactly why we need to do that. Okay. Yeah. You've also got a link in there, which is pushing me away from the platform. So I want to stay on LinkedIn. I know I'm just having a quick look in my coffee break or something. So I want to stay here. I don't want to be going elsewhere. So links aren't always a good idea. Yeah. You don't need hashtags. They don't work. So you don't need to put those on there. Right. And then what you've done is you've got a video. So I've got to sit there and watch that for 35, 40 seconds, I'm guessing. Yeah. That's great. But what if I can't watch a video, you could still tell us a little bit more about that or give us a bit of a teaser, sort of then go and watch the video. But then why don't you put a question in it? Sort of like, start it off by saying, are you anxious in business or something like that, so that it starts getting me hooked on that content. Love sharing stuff like this. But again, if you start with a bit of a question, it's hooking me in. Yeah. So you're sharing stuff, all right, but you're not actually courting engagement.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this? How many times have you done that? Has this ever happened to you? And it's all like, oh yeah, that's happened to me. And I'm going to stop and read it. And then I start reading it. And I'm like, oh yeah. And you might turn around and say, when was the last time you thought about this? Or when was the last time you did that? And then people will just come on. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So that's it's just a different
It's annoying
way.
when someone states the obvious to you.
Sorry. Sorry. But the thing is, look, you've written an amazing book, and
Yeah.
but the front of the book doesn't say, what do you think of behavioral science? Because that's not what we do when we write books. And so it's just changing the way you write when you're doing your content. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll be exploring this now over
Yeah.
the next few weeks. And as I say, personal brand's a tough one to put yourself forwards, and working through that and putting myself in front of camera a bit, working through those elements. And then the next stage is actually, right, I'm fairly confident the content's pretty good, but it's like, actually, rather than spending more and more time crafting the content, think about that hook. Yeah.
And this is the beauty, right? I speak to people and I say, oh, you need to write content. I don't know what to write about. You have got
I've got a bit of content, yeah.
It's all indexed as well. So, you could write, till the cows come home. And that's the thing. And so basically your content is letting us understand your world. All right. And if we want more, we can go and buy this amazing book called Customer Experience Thinking. Si Elliott, you've been absolutely superb today. Lovely to have a chat. Thanks for catching an early plane so that you're not stressed. And if anyone's got any queries or questions, how can they get hold of you?
So find me on LinkedIn, of course. I'm Si Elliott, sielliott.com are the best two ways to get in touch. But most of my stuff comes through LinkedIn. Feel free to DM me as well. I do try to work my way through DMs. Sometimes it is a bit challenging on LinkedIn, but I do try and work my way through DMs and actually get to the ones that are relevant and be able to have a conversation with people. And most of all, if you do decide to follow me after today, please engage in my posts.
Absolutely. Yeah, do engage. Right. Okay. So thank you very much indeed, Si. Lovely to see you. Thank you to people for dropping in. And I won't be back next week because I'm going to Atomicon, but I'll be back the week after. So we'll see you then. Cheerio, everybody. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching or listening to my show this week. I want to bring to you people that can help us running our business. I love having a chat. I'm very nosy, very curious, and I'd love to ask questions. So if you want to be a guest or if you've got some ideas for guests, let me know. And if you want me to help you with your LinkedIn, get in touch because I want to give you a voice. Now, that could just be using LinkedIn, but I do other things as well. So I can help you with a podcast, a live show, and all kinds of other amazing things. So get in touch. My name's Ashley Leeds. I'm the 15-Minute Guy, and you can find me on LinkedIn.